I never thought something as simple as a job promotion would have the power to change everything.
What's going
It all
on?
started as an innocent enough distraction, something to spice up the monotony of my routine life. But soon, it became a lie that I couldn't undo, a secret I couldn't escape. My husband, David, and I had been together for years. We had built a life together, and on the outside, we were the picture-perfect couple. He was hardworking, loyal, and I appreciated everything he did for our family. I had a job too, working in a marketing department at a medium-sized company. It was nothing special, but it paid the bills, and I wasn't complaining. But then something changed. I started feeling disconnected from David. I loved him, I really did, but I felt like I was missing something. The spark we once had seemed to fade, and our conversations became more about bills and schedules than about who we were as people. We weren't strangers, but we felt distant. At work, things were no better. I'd been with the company for several years, and while I liked the people I worked with, I found myself growing increasingly bored. My routine was predictable, my interactions were the same. That's when I met him, Jason. He was new at the company, hired as an assistant project manager. I noticed him right away. He was charming, confident, and had an energy about him that was contagious. At first, it was harmless. We talked during lunch, exchanged a few jokes, and slowly, I found myself looking forward to those moments. Jason was easy to talk to. He wasn't like the other guys I knew. He had this way of making me feel like I was the center of attention. It felt refreshing. It felt good. But I didn't want to admit to myself that it was more than just harmless flirting. One night, after a company event, Jason asked if I wanted to grab a drink. I agreed just for the sake of being social, and we ended up at a nearby bar. The conversation flowed easily, and before I knew it, we were laughing and joking like we had known each other for years. Jason leaned in a little closer than usual, his smile mischievous. "You look beautiful tonight," he said. My heart skipped a beat, and before I knew it, we were kissing. It was a mistake, I knew that right away, but it didn't stop me. The moment felt like an escape from everything, from my routine, from my responsibilities, from the life I had built. And that night, we ended up together. It was supposed to be a one-time thing, just an escape from the everyday grind. But then it happened again. And again. Each time, I convinced myself it didn't mean anything. I told myself I wasn't cheating because David didn't know. I kept the affair hidden, and Jason kept things exciting. But deep down, I knew I was playing with fire. And I had no idea how close I was to losing everything. But then, David's career took a sudden turn. He'd been working at his company for years, and finally, he was offered a huge promotion, regional director. The role came with a substantial pay raise, more responsibilities, and a chance to shape the company's future in a significant way. It was everything he had worked so hard for. I was thrilled for him, but at the same time, I was terrified. With this promotion came a whole new set of dynamics. David was now part of a different level at the company, and he started to gain recognition from senior management. He began attending more high-level meetings, working late, traveling for business, and the guilt I had been ignoring started to eat away at me. The worst part was that David's new position brought him into close contact with Jason, who was still working at the company. I had to watch as my two worlds collided, and I realized that I was treading on dangerous ground. Jason became more distant, more demanding, and my interactions with him started to feel more like a secret that was getting harder to keep. But I couldn't stop. I had created a mess, and now I was trapped in it. Then came the fateful day when David found out. I don't know what gave him the gut feeling, but when I walked into the living room after work that day, I saw David sitting on the couch, his face pale, holding his phone in his hands. He had that look, the one you get when you know something is wrong, but can't quite figure it out. "Can we talk?" he asked quietly. My heart dropped, and in that moment I knew what was coming. I had been so careful to keep the affair hidden, but it didn't matter. The truth always comes out, no matter how hard you try to suppress it. David was calm, too calm. "I saw a message," he said, his voice steady. "From Jason. I know everything, and I need you to tell me the truth." I couldn't speak. The words stuck in my throat. I had always prided myself on being able to talk my way out of situations, but this was different. This was the one situation where there was no way out. My silence confirmed everything. "I'm sorry, David," I whispered. "It wasn't supposed to be like this. It was a mistake. I never meant for it to go this far." David just stared at me, his expression hardening with every word. "A mistake?" he asked, his voice rising now. "You've been hiding this from me for months. You let me think everything was fine, and now you tell me it was a mistake. I never wanted to hurt you," I said, my voice cracking. "I never meant to betray you." But it was too late. The damage was done, and no amount of apologies could undo the pain I had caused. David stood up, his face red with anger and hurt. "I trusted you, and you ruined everything." With that, he turned and walked out the door. My world came crashing down. The man who had loved me, the man who I had built a life with, was gone. And I was left with nothing but the consequences of my own selfish actions. In the days that followed, I tried to reach out to him, to fix the mess I had made. But David was done. He was done with the lies, the secrecy, and the betrayal. He couldn't trust me anymore. He didn't want me in his life. The worst part was that I couldn't even blame him. I had pushed him away, used him, and lied to him for months. I had been selfish, and I had lost everything that mattered. Jason? He was nowhere to be found. He stopped answering my calls and messages after David found out. It was clear that to him, I was just another conquest, another fleeting moment of excitement. I had ruined my life for a mistake I could never take back. And now, I was left with nothing but the consequences of my actions. Jason was gone, and David was gone. I was alone, and I didn't know how to pick up the pieces. I had learned the hard way that actions have consequences. That what you think is harmless fun can destroy everything you've worked for. And most importantly, I learned that the trust of the person you love is the most fragile thing you have, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to fix.